Briefly describe a reason that a sample rather than a complete population may be used when carrying out a statistical investigation. And it's just one reason, there's several that you can think of. Things like cheaper, quicker, easier. You just need to write a sentence that explains why it's whichever one of those you chose. So for example, cheaper, it's going to be cheaper because you're not interviewing everybody, so that's less paperwork. If you're employing people to do that, that's less pay because you need less people, you can employ them for less time, and so on. So just a brief sentence explaining why. After all, it's just one mark. A researcher used government records to select a random sample of the ages of 114 men who had died recently in a town close to an industrial complex. The mean and standard deviation of the ages in the sample was 73.3 and 8.27 years respectively. Explain why the sample standard deviation is a reasonable estimate for the population standard deviation in this case. Well, it's a large sample. In most situations, we would consider a large sample to be anything greater than 30. Again, I suggest you write down a sentence that actually explains that. Calculate a 98% confidence interval for the population mean and explain what the interval shows. So 4 marks, we need to actually show some work. So that's going to be 73.3 take away. Right, what we need here is the Z value for 98%. So if we go in here and go for center, and a probability of 0.98. Remember, this is standard normal at the moment. So that's 2.326 multiplied by, now for the sample, we've got 8.27, and we'll need to divide that by the square root of 114. So that's also going to give us on this side give us this, and then we can calculate the sample. So if we do the calculation, so that's 73.3 take away 2.326 multiplied by 8.27 over the square root of 114. So that gives us 71.50 if we go to 2 decimal places. And then we want the same thing with a plus in the middle. That gives me 75.10. And what does it mean? It means that we're 98% confident that the true mean is in this interval. The national average lifespan of men was known to be 75.3 years. State with a reason what conclusion the researcher could draw from the confidence interval calculated in 2 about the lifespan of the man in the town. Well, 75.3 is outside of this confidence interval. So we might reasonably say that the lifespan for men in the town is less than the national average.